Tesla Model S goes 100% bad valet in Queensland. That's next. I'm John Cadogan from autoexpert.com.au, and I get new cars cheap for buyers here in Australia. Hit me up on the website for that. Some would say Tesla is, at least in part, a religion. Therefore, this video is proudly brought to you by Heresy. Visit heresy.com for more. Enter the promo code AUTOEXPERT for 10% off your next rejection of Zeus, Odin, Osiris, or Thor. I do apologise, almost, for what I am about to say, and I beg forgiveness from Pope Elon I, and of course, Electric Jesus. And isn't it funny how they've never been seen in the same room together? Just saying. I got this hilarious phone call yesterday morning, okay, from a producer named Rob on ABC Radio in Vegas. Drive show host there, Steve Austin.
Steve Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him.
Not that Steve Austin. This one is even braver because he gets me on his show live occasionally, like, what could possibly go wrong? All those broadcasting rules and regulations. Anywho, 80-year-old senior Shitsvillian finance wizard Noel Whittaker, AM, author of 22 books on money, apparently went out quietly and joined the cult of Electric Jesus, and he procured for himself a $175,000 Tesla Model S. And having driven one, I would have to say, very nice car to drive. Hashtag respect. Not a bad thing at all, superficially. I don't know why he did this, though, because he could have gone out and had a perfectly fine BMW. Anyway, so the finance dude's Tesla has the auto park feature, right? And he's at the shopping mall picking up case of Bollinger James Bond Milsimi Limited Edition 2011 champagne, and of course half a dozen braised swans for dinner, or something, whatever. And he's reversing into a parking spot, as you do. And Electric Jesus reaches out, okay, using the force, and says, "Would you like to use Auto Park?" Right there on the message centre, using strange mental powers. I don't know how. Anyway, the Whitmeister goes, "Okay." And he hits the button like, "Approved. Mission control, we are go for autonomous parking. Release the friggin' robot." The mighty Model S obediently engages Auto Park and immediately crashes itself into the brick wall behind. That's according to Mr. Whittaker. Which I think you'd agree is the ideal outcome. Endlessly entertaining for you and me, of course, and perfect for journalism generally. The Swan Eater emerges from the wreckage, thankfully unhurt, promptly calls Tesla, and they go, I'm paraphrasing, "It's entirely your fault, mate. There's no way we're paying the $8,000 repair bill. You must be kidding. That's down to you." There's a certain sympathetic dimension, a degree of anticipated commiseration and empathy, which I would argue is entirely absent from this exchange. The cult's position on this is apparently that Auto Park is just a name, and you still have to be in charge when you let EJ's mad parking robot off the chain. Which kind of forces me to ponder if perhaps the meaning of the word automatic is in some way ambiguous. How would you feel, okay, if your car's auto transmission still needed you to be in charge of the actual gear shifts? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be miffed. especially if they didn't tell me up front on the showroom floor before I paid them the big bucks. Of course, Tesla does have a track record of releasing technology that's almost good enough. For example, Autopilot that sees almost every truck turning across your path. Almost every one. On the 7th of May in 2016, a 40-year-old dude named Joshua Brown died when his Tesla Model S collided with what we would call a semi-trailer. Australia! While Autopilot was calling the shots on a freeway in Florida. About 3 years later, 50-year-old Jeremy Banner was killed in eerily similar circumstances in a Tesla Model 3. And in fairness, Autopilot may have saved lives as well by preventing crashes that may have occurred had a human been at the helm. We'll never know, of course, because we do not report crashes that don't occur. But after a 2-year investigation, the US National Transportation Safety Bureau recently declared Tesla's Autopilot at fault on the balance of probability in a crash that killed an Apple employee whose Tesla Model X hit a concrete barrier on a freeway in California. He was playing a video game at the time. Tesla seems to make vehicle owners the final sort of de facto lab rats for its imperfect tech systems. Take Auto Summon, an app-based system that drives the car from where you parked it to you, and it does this almost as fast as you might walk to that car, provided, of course, it does not have a nervous breakdown because there's too much traffic en route. That does happen quite a lot. Just look for those videos. Systems really should be fail-safed, I would argue, before they are deployed in the public domain, and there should be regulations ensuring that they are, with penalties when they're not, obviously. That's the way we used to roll, okay? Back when facts mattered. Take airbags, for example. They can be badly manufactured, of course, and I'm looking at you there, Takata. But in terms of their operation, okay, they are rock solid. They are properly automatic systems, airbags. They do not deploy when you're just, driving down the street. They do not deploy in crashes where your life is not at risk. And they do not fail to deploy when they are required. This, of course, is why they're so good at saving lives. But how would you feel if we invented a clever new system called, steering, which controlled the car's direction in bends accurately almost all of the time? Or brakes, which could be relied upon dependably to stop the car for pedestrians and red lights almost every time we required them to do so. How come Electric Jesus gets a free pass on ethical violations of this nature, which we would not accept with any other automotive system? On my world, it would be absolutely unacceptable to imply that a system is automatic when in fact it requires human oversight to maintain some safe operating state. This auto park prerequisite for ongoing driver engagement must not be buried in the fine print of the operator manual, okay? Because the marketing department is going to go out there and they will inevitably sex up the tech and give drivers an entirely inflated impression of its credibility. I can see how easy it might be for non-technical people to presume it's okay to play video games at freeway speeds with Autopilot in charge because they think the tech is so good that, waking up dead seems an implausible outcome. Elon Musk is, of course, brilliant. He's Tony Stark. He reuses rockets. He's on a frigging mission to Mars. But not until he saves the planet single-handedly. Am I right? But instead of Auto Park, I suggest Tesla calls this system Park Assist, since it's not actually automatic and you do need to be on top of it at all times. And it must be said, I have next to no sympathy for Mr. Whittaker. I mean, he's Mr. Money. If he eats Swan every night and drinks James Bond Bollinger or something, he's got the $8,000 for the repair. It's a trivial sum to him. My personal care factor for the bill, zero. What concerns me, though, is next time this could be a mum or a dad parking the car at home in this way, and a child could walk out between the car and the wall with somewhat tragic consequences. And there is no comedic dimension when that happens, none at all. It's all long faces, Easter Island all the way to the horizon. And I would argue that no matter how faithfully you worshipped EJ up until that point, an event of that staggering, confronting enormity is a catalyst for outright apostasy there. People don't get over that kind of thing. I've spoken to them. I've talked to the mothers of dead children who were run over by the father in the driveway, okay? It's a terribly confronting thing, and years down the track, it's still just as painful. Pro tip, okay, even if you don't drive an electric car and you're not considering a Tesla and you don't want to automatically park, driveway runovers are the second most common cause of accidental death in children here in Shitsville after drowning in the backyard swimming pool. Never complacently reverse a car anywhere, but especially not at home. Just don't do it. The risk is out of control. It's way in the red, okay? This kind of failure of this kind of system is foreseeable. If I can see it and you can see it, how come Tesla can't? If a bright boy like Mr. Whittaker can be convinced by a slick user interface to put his faith in the mighty electric Jesus, parking robot, whatever, how many other people are reversing Teslas today and courting disaster? Plenty, I'd suggest. If you want something else to look at in this vein, check out Brad Templeton's report on Forbes. It's entitled, Tesla's Autopark Might Someday Be Better Than Useless. Yes! Catchy headline. Think you'd agree. Google can find that story for you, and I will endeavour to put a link in the description if Alzheimer's doesn't take me out first. EJ's electric tech is actually pretty impressive. It really is. Having driven a Model S, it's a pretty cool car in many respects. Many aspects, however, of the rest of Tesla cars are rubbish. And this means, cue the heresy theme, take all of this stuff that he says about his cars and which Tesla claims about their vehicles, take it all with a healthy dose of skepticism at the very least, because I would suggest electric Jesus is not the Messiah. He's just a very naughty boy.